It is Radiohead and Weird Fishes here on Manx Radio. We are chatting to members of OK Computer, who are the island's Radiohead tribute act. I think you are the only one, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know.
The only mad ones to do it. Yeah.
I'm not sure. Is there any other in the UK? There is in America, I know.
Yeah, I mean, there have been one or two bands in the UK. I don't know if they're gigging recently or not, but there certainly have been.
Yeah.
I always liked Radiohead.
Radiohead.
It was a Scottish outfit. Brilliant.
I do love tribute band names. My favourite is, the Strokes have that album, This Is It.
Yeah.
There was a tribute act called This Isn't It. That's one of my favourites. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, back to the subject in hand. We have had... So before we come to this message we've just had in, I just want to cover you just saying in the background there, Chris, while we were listening to Weird Fishes, you were listening intently to it thinking, oh yeah, I need to remember this and I need to remember that. How do you choose which songs you're going to put in your set then? Because I take it Weird Fishes is one of them.
It certainly is, yeah. I think that we go quite scientific about it, and I think, a shout out to Ian and James, who aren't with us, but they're actually, working feverishly behind the scenes to help us. And they've got lists of most favourite Radioheads as voted by fans, which songs they like. So that's probably where a lot of that's come from.
Yeah.
And then they've just added a few personal favourites on top of that, I think.
Are there any you've not yet done that you'd all want to do then, that are kind of on the hit list?
Lists.
Oh, yeah.
Lists.
Go on, Jamie. What's the one that you really want to do that you've not done yet?
Don't ask me a question.
You think about it.
There were so many.
Yeah, there are.
There were so many, but we've got to try and, as a tribute band, you can't just target the ones that you like.
Yeah.
You've got to try and give it a fair coverage over their entire career. So that's, if you've only got a 2-hour gig, you physically can't play every track that they've ever done. So that's where the set list has literally been chosen from. So we can't have too many off one particular album because you haven't got room for the others then. So
and do you Radiohead? Do you Radiohead what the band would suggest? Which is, I don't think they do Creep, for instance, do they? Because they're not fans of it anymore.
They
particularly
hate that track themselves personally, but
the fans like it.
Yeah.
So it's tricky, isn't it? Yeah.
It's one of those. I mean, certainly for the first gig we'll have it in there, but it's not really. It's not really a fan favourite that much anymore. I mean, it was in the 90s when it came out, but not so much anymore because Radiohead don't even play like that anymore.
No.
They really don't.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, really.
Well, you do genuinely manage to achieve that Radiohead sound and do it extremely well, I have to say. And we should give a shout out because it's a slightly different lineup this time round, isn't it? Do you want to tell us about it, Chris? Who's in the band and what's going on?
Yeah, I'm now playing bass. James is now playing. Is it technically rhythm guitar?
Technically rhythm,
so it's been a bit of a mix around. We've got Ed on drums, who's wonderful to play bass to, and I'm enjoying it. It's like the second time I've played bass in a regular band on the island. The last was Truman Falls.
You're normally surrounded by like a spaceship of stuff, aren't you?
Yes, of all
synths
sorts of
and things and sounds and stuff. So, yeah, you just need to stop knowing so many instruments because then,
Well, I like playing bass because when you stop playing, people look around.
Yeah.
And keyboards can be sort of lost in the mix somewhere. So I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah.
But the problem with the band is that there's about 4 bass players in
the band.
So no pressure. I mean, you just get...
Do you see them sometimes looking at you and think, oh no, what have I done?
James just mentioned the other day, like, there's a bit that you don't play there. And
no.
But there's also 3 keyboard players.
Yes.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. You're all just so talented. Dave, what can we expect then from this gig, which I should say is August the 4th, isn't it? Tell us a little bit about the gig and what people can expect.
I think we're on stage at 9 o'clock, I think, with the Getaways before us at 8, I think, and the doors open at 7:30. So that's the gig on Friday the 4th. We've got a 2-hour set, maybe just slightly over. It depends on how quickly we can change over and
it's back in the
moving.
Promenade Suite, which is a great venue for it as well.
It is. It's the second time we've played there. Mm-hmm. It is a great venue. It is a very good venue. So yeah, we're really looking forward to it. I think sort of we've got it pretty well all together now. I think.
You would hope so by now, considering it's you've got a couple of days. There's only a couple of days left, but we'll be fine.
I think you were mentioning before about listening to the music intently, and I was thinking, well, you're fairly nervous doing an interview on radio, but what really got the pulse racing was hearing that music and going, got to have that right by next week.
Oh, bless it, you'll manage. Well, listen, we did have a text in before. First of all, we were trying to work out what that sound was in Bob Marley's track, Could You Be Loved? Andy's absolutely right. It's a Brazilian cuica, I think that's how you say it. I realise now it's not Ouija, it's a cuica. However, Northern Moot Marauder was going along with your animal suggestions and said, actually, Christy, the noise is made by squeezing a large pigeon. So maybe you could get that into the OK Computer set. Obviously, gently, we don't want to hurt any animals, but I think a squeezing pigeon, that might work. Also, we had a text in saying, what do the band make of There There? Now, I get the impression this might be someone who knows you, but what did you make of There There? Were you fans of There There? I mean, I am personally.
I love it. Yeah, I love the track. It's in our set.
We're going to be doing it on Friday.
There you go then.
We are going to sort of start rotating tracks, aren't we?
Yeah.
Learning new stuff and then rotating them and just keep swapping them around.
Yeah, because there's just so many to choose from. There is brilliant, I have to say. It's an excellent one. Are there any, because obviously each album is a bit different, are there any that you would not necessarily be your first choice? I mean, what are each your favourite albums? What's your favourite album?
My favourite album
go on.
is OK Computer. That's my favourite out of all of them. But I never understood the direction that Radiohead went in after OK Computer. So there's lots of albums that I never ever listened to until we got this band off the ground. Yeah. And then now I've got the exposure to it and stuff, and there's like, what have I been missing? There's so many, but I never understood their journey. So, and I was just like a band kind of guy. That's my kind of focus, rock kind of thing. Yeah. But then now understanding their journey a bit better through different interviews that I've watched, I now understand where they were at and why they had to go that way. So I got that newfound appreciation for the different approaches they've had to creating music. So it's
Do you know, considering you guys clearly immerse yourselves in Radiohead, which shows that this is going to be an excellent gig, because you do kind of live and breathe it, I think. Chris, what's your favourite album?
I don't know, it's between OK Computer itself or maybe In Rainbows.
Oh, I do love In Rainbows. Yeah. I love In Rainbows. What about you, Dave?
It used to be the Bends, I have to admit, but latterly it's In Rainbows. Easily now In Rainbows. There's just such beautiful songs in Rainbows, and the rhythms in there are just sort of mind-blowing.
Well, if you are a Radiohead fan and you're loving this chat and loving the music, and we're about to play Paranoid Android as well, get yourselves to the Promenade Suite on Friday. Getaways are opening as well. We're going to play them a little bit later in case you've not heard the Getaways. How do you get tickets, Dave?
Through the Villa box office. So they're doing all of that for us, so that's where you get your
sorted.
Your tickets,
and there might be some available on the night, but you're probably better getting them in advance, because this will be an exceptionally busy gig, I'm sure. As ever, thank you so much. We're of course going to play out with Paranoid Android from OK Computer, because in my mind, as much as I love everything they've done, this still, to me, I think it's got to be my favourite.